primary reasons why I became an East Asian Studies major. The first is kind of logistical, and the second is much more entertaining, the absolutely hilarious real reason why. First reason, I was rejected as a global affairs major. This was actually kind of sad and disheartening, considering that I applied to Yale as a global affairs major, and I even took quite a few global affairs related classes during my freshman year. But during my sophomore year, I applied as a global affairs major, and unfortunately, I didn't get it. It is quite a competitive major too. I think that they have less than a 25% acceptance rate, and considering the fact that you are competing against other Yaleys, those are actually pretty tough odds. Anyways, this ended up being a blessing in disguise because I got to dodge this bullet. I didn't have to take intermediate micro. I had taken some economics at Yale, absolutely hated it. That was a required course for global affairs, but not a required course for East Asian Studies, and could not have been happier. East Asian Studies was an absolute blast. So many electives, and the thing about the East Asian Studies major at Yale is that it is actually quite popular, and you pick a country of focus. So the 3 countries that are available to study are China, Japan, and Korea. My country of focus was China, obviously, and I studied Chinese language, Chinese literature, Chinese economics, politics, and history. So it was a very wide scope. It wasn't something where you picked a very narrow topic and drilled into it. I think it was more about breadth rather than depth, which I really appreciated. All right, guys, now that I got the logistical first reason out of the way, I can share the second real reason. Here come the deets. My freshman year, my mom visited Yale during Parents Weekend, and we did all the Parents Weekend related things. I took her on a fatty tour around campus. We saw the Whiff and Poofs perform Women Rhythm, and then my mom pulls out her phone and she tells me, look, Kev, according to the Chinese Parents WeChat group, there is this little get-together happening at the AACC, which is the Asian American Cultural Center. To be honest, I didn't really want to go. I'm pretty sure I had something else to do at night, so my sister joined her, and later at night, we reunited, and my mom shared her experience. Before I tell you the rest of the story, guys, do you mind just saucing this video a quick like? I'm really trying to grow this channel, and for every like that this video gets, I will be donating 10 cents to Girls Who Code. If you want to hear more stories about Yale, college admissions tips, life advice, consider subscribing to my channel. Thank you guys so much. When I link back up with my mom, she is absolutely beaming. She tells me about this professor she just met, Professor Su. So apparently my mom and Professor Su strike up a conversation. And my mom is all like, oh, you're from Guangzhou? I heard about you on the Chinese WeChat group. Professor Su was like, yeah, indeed. I am from Guangzhou. It's crazy how much has changed these past few years. Remember that, lake? They drained it, and now there's a skyscraper. Yeah. I remember that lake. I used to catch frogs there. Really? Me too. I used to catch frogs there too. That was the best frog catching lake in the whole province. Because of this unexpected kinship, my mom is shaking me and telling me that I need to take this man's course. I was like, all right, fine. I'll take his course. My mom got real serious. She was like, no, Pinky promised me that you will take his course. I was like, all right, okay, fine, Pinky promise, sure. Little did I know what I was getting myself into. Professor Su teaches L6 Chinese, which is level 6 Chinese. It is the highest level Chinese offered at Yale. He teaches Chinese modern literature as well as postmodern fiction. I had to take Chinese for 2.5 years just to take his class. I can't complain though. I did enjoy Chinese at Yale. It was really awesome experience. Some of the best classes I've taken. And Professor Su is a certified G. This man was blacklisted by the Chinese government for harboring graduate students during the Tiananmen Square protests, and would regularly share stories about him being spied on and escaping from Chinese intelligence spies and Secret Service and stuff like that. Speaking of Professor Su's class, it was so difficult. I had no idea what was going on in that class, ever. The level of Chinese was so advanced, it took me 1 hour to read 1 page. 1 hour per page! Every day, I would attend class and question my identity. I'd be like, I'm a fake Asian. I am a fraud. I understand nothing about Chinese or Chinese culture. Some of the terms in these stories were so obscure, I would spend hours looking them up, and then it turns out that when I came to class, I had totally misunderstood or misinterpreted them. I remember this one time Professor Su said that the word alley here was referencing these 20th century Shanghai alleys, which was a derogatory term because back in those days, people used to relieve themselves here. And so the word alley in this particular scenario showcases the main character's impoverished and underprivileged background. What? How am I supposed to know that? At this point, I turned to the graduate student in our class. He was in his late 20s, and although he was a Guaylo, or white person, his Chinese was impeccable because he had studied abroad and his adopted little sister was Chinese. I was like, did you know the word alley meant that? Did you even understand this story? How long does the homework take you? Be honest. And this man, who actively participates in discussion, always shows up in a button-down t-shirt and has a signature messenger backpack. He whispers to me, I have no idea what goes on in this class. The homework takes me hours. I was like, thank goodness. Long story short, guys, because I made this pinky promise to my mom, I had to take a ton of Chinese classes in order to take Professor Su's class, which I finally did during my junior and senior year. And I got rejected from the global affairs major, so this choice was pretty much made for me. And I don't regret it at all. I had an amazing 4 years academically at Yale, and I was always very interested in the humanities, and I took this opportunity to study Chinese current events as well as Chinese ancient history and modern history. So I really enjoyed it. And yeah, just a word about majors. Most people change their major when they actually set foot in college. Most people don't actually pursue the major that they wrote down on their application. My tip for you all when you go to college: make friends, drink beer, study hard, but not too hard. Hope you enjoyed this story, and I'll catch you guys in the next one. Peace.